talk about in a couple of minutes, but I'll be acknowledging our speakers in a moment. But I do want to acknowledge the elected officials who've shown up here today and to show their support for the country of Ukraine and how New Yorkers collectively are standing together to call out the unlawful invasion by Putin and Russia against the independent sovereign nation of Ukraine. And during that time, we've seen the spectacle, the horror of what has transpired. And I want to thank New Yorkers, particularly for standing up and being so generous. And I want to thank our elected officials who are here. We are joined by our Majority Leader, Andrea Stewart-Cousins. This is home turf for her, and she's been very involved with this organization for a long time. I want to thank her for everything she does, not just for our state, but this particular community as well. Also, Senator Shelley Mayer, a longtime friend as well, who we've worked in food pantries, and we've made sandwiches for people that needed help in some of the food banks. And so I know this is something deeply personal to you as well. And our Assembly Member Nader Sayich, I want to thank him for being here and the great support that he gives his community as well. And our great County Executive, George Latimer, when you need a military-style deployment of resources, whether it's in a pandemic or it's to help another country, this is the man you go to. And George, you've been a strong ally of ours through the pandemic and even before and certainly beyond. And of course, our mayor here, Mayor Mike Spano, who's, again, boots on the ground, making things happen for this community all the time. So we're joined by some of my favorite elected officials. Glad to see them here today. Before I get started on what we're doing here today, I want to acknowledge also that we're still giving reports on our pandemic numbers, the COVID-19 numbers. As I just want to acknowledge that we've come down a lot, and this is the trend we're continuing to watch. We are down to 2,323 positive cases, down from, I need to repeat this, down from 90,000 just a couple of months ago in January. So that is extraordinary. And our single-day positivity is 1.7%. Hospitalizations continue to decline, but there's still about 1,000 people in hospitals, and we did lose 13 New Yorkers just yesterday. But I want to focus on is the fact that we are also watching what's happening across the world. I told everyone as we are coming through this and scaling back on our requirements that we're going to keep an eye on global trends. So I want everyone to know that here in the state of New York, we're watching and staying alert about what's happening in the United Kingdom. We're seeing an 82% increase in cases over there over the last few weeks. We tend to be a few weeks behind those trends, but we do have surveillance techniques which we're using expansively across the state, and we're able to monitor 70% of our state population literally through wastewater surveillance. So using technology, we'll have an early eye to any problems that may spike even before someone would be have any symptoms. We're not seeing that. I want to be clear, we're not seeing that right now. But in our efforts to continue being vigilant, we want to make sure that we're going to continue to get our test kits out. Fewer people are coming to our test sites. That's understandable. But we want to make sure that of the 92 million testing kits that we amassed here in the state, that we're now going to be deploying another 20 million out to schools, to nursing homes, to NYCHA residents, food banks, and to elected officials for them to distribute as well. So let's get those in people's hands. If there's any warning signs, anyone's concerned, that they can get that test immediately. That test lets them know if they're positive, and if they're positive, we want them to isolate. That's how we've learned from the past on how to stop the spread. We're also going to be stockpiling 20 million test kits, so we have them available as we enter next year's school year to make sure that we have enough for students to keep monitoring. So we're going to continue keeping New Yorkers safe. This is something you can count on this administration to continue to be very vigilant on as well. But speaking of what we're watching around the world, as I mentioned, the specter of the fighting going on in Ukraine, the painful images of seeing innocent civilians losing their lives, attacks on schools and hospitals, and it's continuing to decline. And I saw President Biden yesterday announce another $800 million of support for security, which is important. So he's doing what he can on that front. But also it's incumbent upon all of us as New Yorkers to say, how can we help our brothers and sisters who are hurting? And knowing New Yorkers as well as I do, I'm never disappointed in how they respond to crises when there is a call for help. I've been to many Ukrainian communities. We are the largest Ukrainian population in the nation, majority in New York City, but we have populations in Rochester and Buffalo and Syracuse. I've gone to visit them over the last couple weeks. I've worshiped in their churches. I've shown our support. But I also want to say we can do more as a state. And I did announce an executive order saying that the state would not be doing business with any Russian entities. But I want to take that a step further here today, and we're going to be announcing an executive order that we're going to be strengthening our sanctions against Russia as well. And we're going to have additional blockchain analytics technology to make sure that we're being very vigilant about what they do. We're going to prohibit any state agencies and authorities from contracting with any entities that are still doing business in Russia. So this is not just directly with Russian companies, it is with companies, American companies that are continuing to do business in Russia in light of what's happening. So that is the message that we're delivering to our state agencies and authorities today, to cease business, to have no more future contracts with those entities. We're continuing to put the pressure on. And I saw this as a young college student when we were trying to stop apartheid in South Africa. And it was when people started divesting holdings in companies that were doing business in South Africa, we finally created the economic pressure that resulted in change, and we got our university and other universities across the nation to divest their holdings. So I know the impact of what even a college can do, but I certainly know the power of New York State and the ability that we have to have influence in our own way as well. But I also want to talk about an organization here, AFIA, which means simply health in Swahili. And what is going on in this room is a dedicated group of individuals who've decided they will not sit on the sidelines. These volunteers right here, young people who've come together to help gather tens of thousands of pounds of critical medical, humanitarian supplies, surgical pack, wound care kits, stretchers, emergency hospital beds, first aid supplies, and they're all putting them together to be able to send where they're needed the most. And I want to thank this organization. I also want to thank Ken Rasky. They did this. They brought together all these medical supplies together here today so they could be sent. Ken is the president and CEO of Greater New York Hospital Association. So even still dealing with what they went through during a pandemic and all the stress on the system and the scramble for protective equipment and masks and gowns, they, at a time of crisis for another country, still showed the heart of New Yorkers and our healthcare industry to help people that we may never see their faces, but we know here today, standing in this warehouse in Yonkers, that we're about to ship out literally 200 pallets of supplies desperately needed, over 100,000 pounds. And we're going to continue doing this, and we're continuing ramping up our efforts to do what we can to support these individuals, not just with our prayers, not just with our thoughts, but real supplies that we hope will save lives. And with that, I do want to introduce Ken Rasky and thank him for his great support and explain a little more about what we're doing here today. But thank you, everyone.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Governor, and good morning to everybody. It's a very special time for all of us, and Governor, I want to thank you for your outstanding leadership in healthcare. We've worked together, all the dedicated people of the state of New York, on the COVID crisis and the latest iteration of it, and the toll that it's taken on our healthcare workforce. And together we have worked on many issues, and I want to thank you for that outstanding, decisive leadership that you have brought to all of these major concerns. At this point, I want to really do a segue into the healthcare industry. What it's gone through has been a lot, and the stresses are astronomical. But despite those stresses, those men and women who work in our clinical affairs come home and watch TV at night and see the horrors of what's going on in the Ukraine. And because they're dedicated healthcare professionals, it's touched all of them. And I want you to know that these boxes of medical supplies, in many cases life-saving supplies, are brought by the goodwill of the healthcare community saying, you know, we've gone through a lot, but you know what? It's pretty bad over there, and it's immoral, too, on top of it. And as a result, this has allowed us to do in some small part, some help to give our brothers and sisters in the Ukraine going through what they're going through. And Lord only knows what that is. But for what we do in the healthcare industry, it couldn't be done without a partner. And Danielle Butin is one of the greatest ladies that we have ever met. She has put together AFIA, which is an organization dedicated to providing assistance around the world. We have worked in Haiti, we have worked in Puerto Rico, we have worked in a lot of different places, and now we're in the Ukraine. And without your dedication and talented staff, it wouldn't be possible to get this stuff from here to where it's needed over there. So Danielle, thank you so much for your outstanding dedication.
It is my pleasure to welcome Governor Hochul to AFIA today and to be here with everyone. AFIA would not be able to do what we do without the New York community and the support of our remarkable elected officials who are in front of us today. We are forever grateful for your support. It is also AFIA's deep honor to be here with our long-term partner, Greater New York Hospital Association. Working closely together, we have collected all of the supplies that you see on display today. I founded AFIA 14 years ago with a mission to divert surplus medical supplies away from landfills and deliver them to under-resourced health systems worldwide. We manage the entire charity supply chain. We establish relationships with quality medical donors, identify key partners in places where we are sending aid, and work with the right shipping partners to get exactly what is requested to healthcare providers worldwide. The war in Ukraine is a crisis of both politics and healthcare. The World Health Organization has already confirmed at least 26 attacks on hospitals, making worse an already dire medical supply shortage. AFIA has shipped already 62 pallets of surgical kits and wound care supplies. This week, we are sending an additional 200 pallets of supplies weighing 100,000 pounds to our shipping partner, Meast, in New Jersey. Meast will fly our supplies into Poland and then truck all of the inventory to our partner, Alinea International. They will then distribute these supplies in country to healthcare providers in need countrywide. AFIA is prepared to continue to send these supplies as long as the need exists, and as long as we have the means to do so. We anticipate that in the coming weeks, we will send at least 500 pallets of medical supplies to Ukraine. In addition to Greater New York Hospital Association, we must thank the U.S. Ukraine Foundation, Together Rising, Project Kesher, and AFIA's Disaster Response Hub sponsors, UJA Federation of New York and Riskified, for making these deliveries possible. During times of trauma and terror, we all have the capacity to act and to make a difference and show up for the people who desperately need our help. It is AFIA's privilege to be the hub for this effort in New York.
Thank you. Great partnership. Thank you.
Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousins, you'd like to close for us? I do have a parade to get to, and they're not waiting for me, so I'm gonna let you take it away, and I'm gonna hit the road. Is that all right?
Thank you for being here. Yeah, I just, again, want to thank the governor for being here and always being supportive of the things that we care about. Have a great St. Patrick's Parade. That's where she's going. She's got to do what she's got to do. But it's so good to be at AFIA. And Danielle, I cannot thank you enough for always responding to the call. As she said, it was 14 years ago, and I guess I probably knew you sort of at the beginning. And AFIA is Swahili for good health, right? And she was just trying to figure out how she could make sure that countries that needed supplies could get there. And she knew that if she just made partnerships, that instead of filling landfills, she would be able to fill the need in destitute places. And that has grown and grown, and you know, she's been connected by all of us, the mayor the county executive, and certainly my colleagues, Senator Mayor Summerlin Sage. I think all of us have found new partners for Danielle. And the thing about giving Danielle a lead, you don't have to do anything else. She just goes because she is so committed with her great staff to make sure that community comes together. And that's what you do. So, Ken, I know that you, yeah, I know, a lot of their hospital supplies would actually go into landfill because you can't use them again. Our standards are so high. So this was an ideal relationship which has only grown. You never have to worry about what happens when you send somebody to AFIA. So for our friends in Ukraine, yes, you have our prayers and our thoughts. It said, my dad, and I know so many people, World War II, my brother in Vietnam, I never saw a war unfold in real time, every moment of every day. It is horrifying. It is shockingly awful. But the fact that we can do something, we who believe in freedom, we who embrace democracy can do something, is really important that we do it. And this certainly is a huge step for all of us, and we can keep contributing to AFIA and other organizations and keep supporting Ukrainians as they fight for their freedom. So thank you so much, Regina. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ken. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Leader. You want to take questions? Any questions? I don't know if there's any questions that you may have. Danielle, you want to spend?
Danielle Butin, DANIELLE, BUT as in Tom, IN, and I'm the founder and CEO of the AFIA Foundation.
And I'm Kenneth Raske, RASKE, President and CEO of the Greater New York Hospital Association. Thank you. Okay, all right, not hearing any. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.